Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wild. Today, I'm going to be on the GigTube podcast, and I'm actually kind of excited to be there. Today, we are talking about Doordash reaches landmark union deal for gig workers. This is a little nerve-wracking for me. The one thing that Doordash was that everyone liked was the fact that we were independent contractors. Not that we were a part of a union, not that we were employees or anything like that. We were independent contractors. We had the right to choose for as long as we can work for however we work for, whatever. That was part of being a Doordash driver. Now they're telling us they've reached some deal for gig workers. I'm nervous about that, to be perfectly honest. If this is something that happens in one place, there's potential for it to happen everywhere else, even if the potential is small. So with that said, I want to go over everything that's being said here, see if it's something that we need to worry about, and with that said, let's get started. Doordash and the Transport Workers Union have signed a landmark agreement to ensure fairness for gig workers, including a commitment to regulating the industry. The industry does need a little bit more regulation, but that being said, we don't want to be part of a union. We don't want to turn into employees. That ruins the entire point of being a Doordash driver. The charter is the first of its kind between an Australian union and a delivery platform. The union said it recognized the flexible nature of gig work while agreeing to the need for enforceable industry-wide standards set by an independent body. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of happy they're testing this out in Australia. I don't think what happens in Australia happens everywhere else, for a lack of a better way to put it. Australian actions don't have as much influence as Europe or Asia to what happens here in the US. Although I am pretty excited to hear that they understand the need for it to be flexible, while at the same time they understand that industry-wide standards need to be set by an independent body outside of Doordash or any of these apps. The only thing I wish it was is not regulated by Australia or any one country. It should be an external party to all of that, decentralized. I feel like a Bitcoin investor now. Its 6 core principles developed over several months include transparency, a collective voice for workers, dispute resolution, training resources, allowing workers to access appropriate rights and entitlements, and a 3-stage approach towards achieving regulation of the on-demand transport industry. Now, you see, this is interesting to me. First of all, they got transparency. A collective voice for workers, I think we all need that at this point. Dispute resolution is really what we needed. We needed the safety net of we have a fair dispute resolution system. Training resources, I mean, how much training do you need in order to be a Doordash driver or a gig worker of any kind? Appropriate rights. I'd like to understand the concept they have for appropriate rights, because the way they say it, it's almost like they know that we're not really supposed to have as many benefits and stuff like that. Appropriate rights needs a little bit more elaboration. And the 3-stage approach towards achieving regulation on the on-demand transport industry. What's the 3 stages? I don't feel like there was enough clarification in this paragraph at all. The TWU says stage 1 for pursuing regulation is setting the principles. Stage 2 is developing the standards, including better terms and conditions, and stage 3 is jointly lobbying government to enforce them. Okay, I'm all for the first 2. I'm not sure how I feel about the 3rd option, but we'll find out soon. That being said, this could be something beneficial because it's the Australian government and not the United States government. Regardless of what you feel about government control as a whole, maybe the people running the government may be the difference here. Doordash General Manager Rebecca Burrows said the framework to support gig workers needs to evolve. Bold of you to assume that you are not the reason that it needs to evolve. You do realize the reason that support to gig workers needs to evolve is because of Doordash itself. Work through apps like Doordash Appeals to many people because it can fit around their lives and other commitments, but we need to ensure independent workers can rely on clear standards and protections and access more benefits without sacrificing the autonomy and flexibility they value, she said. Actually reading through this so far on a very surface level, it seems like a really good thing for gig workers. The problem is this is gonna end up turning us more into employees anyway. Like, I understand the value of a union and how much protection you can gain from that. If the union actually helps the workers. We don't know if it does yet. They're using the government almost like a tool to make things work, but it doesn't. We are optimistic that we can together develop a framework that gives workers the ability to choose the type of work that suits them and continues to provide workers to access income when and how they choose, as well as the security of new benefits and protections they deserve. First off, DoorDash and government don't really mix. Not unless it is forced upon them. That's number one. And number two, I don't have much trust in our government either, like realistically speaking. And I know we're talking about the Australian government here, but even still, I would rather it be run by the people who make it run, not by some party outside that has no idea what we actually do. Let's be honest about that. TWU National Secretary Michael Caine said the union believed collaborating with DoorDash was an important step towards giving gig economy workers the rights and protections they deserve. That's something every politician says just before things go south. In collaboration, the union and DoorDash have shown that with proper negotiations, regulation, workers don't have to choose between flexibility and appropriate work rights and entitlements, he said. Well, look, I hope that's actually true, but in most cases, it's not. Also, I don't know how effective that would be in the United States. A single worker shouldn't have to go up against a gig giant via court in a hopelessly outdated system that sets them up to fail. We need laws to secure rights for all workers, and this agreement paves the way for delivering them. The more I read this, the more I like it, but the more I like it, the more I feel like I'm being manipulated into liking it. I don't know, maybe that's my pain talking. That could be my pain talking from all the crap I had to go through with DoorDash and with the lawyers and everything else. I feel like if I had a system like this that would have been able to help me, I may have found a better answer. And the only reason this ended up happening is I'm certain that they were just cornered into it. I'm so certain about that. He said DoorDash will not be the last gig company to see the logic of industry-wide standards, as it was the best way to ensure fair competition and market sustainability. I don't think it was them seeing the logic. I'd still say they were cornered into it. This is my opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. None of you pay me. There you go. A part of me really likes this. I really hope it doesn't compromise the flexibility of the workplace at all for DoorDash, Uber Eats, or Grubhub. Because you gotta think that if they're setting standards against DoorDash, they probably set standards against Dashers as well. Like, they gotta hit quotas, or they have to work a certain number of hours in a week in order to be a part of the union, or whatever. It sounds too good to be true. Although I don't want to say that either, because there are a lot of things that sound too good to be true and actually are true. Well, I'm certainly curious to see how the Australian Union actually works out at the end of the day. I'm still skeptical on whether or not it would work in the United States. Because here's the thing, there is a lot of truth that comes with what they're saying. Like, you know, this statement, a single gig worker shouldn't have to go up against a gig giant via court in a hopelessly outdated system that sets them up to fail. You know that statement comes from a place of, I know exactly what you're going through. I've done what you've done. I've been where you've been. It is a nightmare. So I want to believe that there is some sort of hope for gig workers. I'm just so jaded and skeptical on everything being said here. And that's my own fault, and I gotta accept that. I really hope this ends up being a good thing for gig workers in Australia. But at the same time, I still want to be an independent contractor. We want to stay independent contractors. We do not want to be employees. We don't want to deal with the scheduling system that is set for us. It's just, it is what it is. I just don't know enough about the Transport Workers Union in order to totally take their side on this. But I know enough about DoorDash to know that they would never agree to this unless they were cornered into it. This is a concern for me for the future of DoorDash. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!